So a video came out over the weekend called "We Are Done with the 90's" and it went viral. And basically, it was a load of trash. It was like a minute and a half of trash talking Jordan and trying to show that he couldn't go left, he could only go right. It was like two clips from the same game with some idiot screaming, "We done with the 90's!" So that was the gist of it. And since then, it's been crazy because the conversation has blown up. I think every single person that I have a subscription to, I think every person, every single NBA channel I watch, every sports channel I watch has basically done a reaction to it. And I think it's crazy. I think it's insane that stupid video went viral. But that's what we're doing. Discussion's fun. So one of my favorite channels came out with a video after it called "We Are Done with the 90's." And then I woke up this morning and there was a second video saying "We done with the 2000s." And that's SkapAttack. So we're going to check out those two videos back to back. And I'll let you know my thoughts. And you let me know yours.
As we all know, there has been an ongoing crusade to attempt to discredit not merely Michael Jordan, but virtually every all-time great NBA player that preceded this current generation for what seems like 20 years now and counting. Of course, these tactics have only been ramping up more throughout the last couple years as a certain player continues to awkwardly wedge himself in conversations with players substantially better than him. The flimsy and pathetic motivations behind this ongoing quest to destroy previous eras could not possibly be more transparent. And sure, these tactics are, at their core, just a microcosm of the generational inadequacies felt by the underwhelming era of teenagers and early 20-year-olds populating society as a whole these days. But more specifically, it is a thinly veiled attempt to hoist up those soft, petulant children's personal god and savior, LeBron James. A guy who embodies all of their characteristics: mentally weak, entitled, rejecting the premise of overcoming challenges or hardships, and instead opting to just take things he never earned and doesn't deserve.
Oh, what a loser!
You see, he is one of them, and they have gone out of their way to defend him while propping up and advancing his fake GOAT narrative. It is undeniable he has fallen hilariously short of any metric used to gauge players of previous times. So the answer for them is simple: discredit those players by attacking the times they played in, painting their eras as weaker and easier. Of course, this couldn't be any further from the truth, as the NBA has been getting nothing but easier, specifically over this last decade. And the original talking points were that those previous eras didn't have the level of athleticism of players today. But now, while a guy who can barely dunk a basketball continues to absolutely destroy this current era, and Luka Doncic is averaging damn near a 35-point triple-double, the kids are ever so slightly modifying their narrative. As the "we done with the 90's" continues to trend across various toilet bowl social media platforms, the irony and the hypocrisy cannot be more alarming, yet simultaneously so utterly predictable. The trend began by seeking out footage of Jordan from the late 80s and early 90s and exposing him for his lack of a left hand. And by footage, I mean like one half of a single game. And of course, as the scoring continues to ramp up to sky-high levels in today's era, sitting currently at 115.1 points per game, which is the highest in modern NBA history. Many ignorant and uninformed casual observers might assume that this is simply because of the immense skill set of today's players as compared to those previous eras. But Kobe Bryant scored more points on a higher shooting percentage in his 17th season than he did in his 8th year in the league at the age of 25. While Steph Curry is now averaging more points per game today at 35 years of age than he did 9 years ago in his first league MVP season. You see, in reality, the NBA has been depreciating and getting markedly easier. But don't take my word for it, take it from Luka Doncic, who on the surface of things is currently having a historical individual season this year, averaging 35 points per game, 10 assists, and 9 rebounds. He is currently leading the league in scoring per game and is third in assists right now. And quite frankly, none of this should come as any surprise, as by just the age of 20 in his second NBA season, Doncic was already dropping a nightly line of 29 points, 9.5 rebounds, and 9 assists. But Luka, in his final professional season in the EuroLeague prior to being drafted into the NBA, averaged just 16 points per game. Oh sure, he just must have been getting that much more skilled since he was drafted in the NBA. Well, not exactly, as just 2 years ago, Doncic went on record in discussing the ease of scoring in the NBA, saying, quote, "I would say that scoring is easier in the NBA because of the different rules and the amount of space. Scoring 30 points in a EuroLeague game, it's harder than in an NBA game, 100%. And that brings us to the self-proclaimed king, the media creation, the guy for which this ignorant and hypocritical "we done with the 90s" trend began in the first place. You see, in the 90s, where average nightly scoring was roughly 15 points below what it is today, there was actually such a thing as defensive opposition, restriction to the basket, and lack of free movement around the court. And yet, despite the unprecedented ease of scoring resulting in the historical point explosion where Nikola Jokic is setting all-time records for advanced analytic efficiency, LeBron James was still incapable of shooting any higher than 37% for his career on anything but layups and dunks.
It's a complete crap.
The all-time turnovers king, boasting nearly 600 more than second place in that field, also has missed nearly 500 more shots in the playoffs than anyone ever. But make no mistake, the underlying reason these scrub influencers have to crawl on TikTok to push their lies in a tapestry of feces, resulting in this most recent "we done with the 90s" push, isn't because of all of those playoff misses by the bagless one, just primarily all of those misses in games and situations that mattered most. So here's your reminder, scrubs. In the final 25 seconds of the fourth quarter or overtime in his playoff career, on potential game-tying or go-ahead shots, Michael Jordan was 10 of 19 overall. LeBron James, meanwhile, is just 11 of 30.
Diddly poo.
In series-clinching games, Jordan shot 4 of 7 in these situations, while James is just 0 and 3.
Diddly poo.
And when facing elimination, Jordan shot 3 of 3, while James is 0 for 2.
Diddly poo.
And finally, in the NBA Finals round specifically, Jordan was 4 for 8, while LeBron is currently 0 for 7.
It's a complete crap.
And again, let us not forget about the Brick King's tiny performance in the clutch time during the NBA Finals, where in the final 2 minutes of one-possession games, LeBron is shooting just 8 of 29 for his career, while his teams are only 10 and 11 in those games. So do not be fooled or lose sight for the real impetus behind this latest trending bit of nonsense. The true reason that the 90s and various other eras remain under fire by this current generation is because of their overwhelming, humiliating desire to overcompensate for their loser heroes' inadequacies that they themselves so closely identify with.
Well, that noticeably turned into a LeBron rant, but that's basically what SkapAttack is about. His channel literally just rips apart LeBron and the modern day media and how they perceive LeBron and throwing him to the top of the leaderboards as far as NBA rankings, all-time greats. He hasn't deserved it. He doesn't belong there. They've been writing the narrative back to when they stole MVPs from Kobe, back when they weren't giving Kobe his love, when he was beating the teams in the finals that LeBron couldn't get past. When he was beating the teams in the West, LeBron was getting swept by. When Kobe was getting to the finals with one other All-Star, and LeBron couldn't get there with 3 of the top 5 players in the NBA. Since the NBA declared LeBron the chosen boy, they've been writing their own script. And the NBA media heads, Nick Wright, Shannon Sharp, but all of them, really. Stephen A. Smith, Skip Bayless, Kendrick Perkins is bad. God, Kendrick Perkins is awful. He just sits up there lying, spews hate and racism. It's very clear. But they've been writing this narrative that LeBron's the greatest player of all time since before he had any championships. You can look at my last video. They were already asking if he was better than Kobe when Kobe had 5 or 4, 3. I think Kobe had 3 and LeBron had 0. And they were trying to make that comparison. He's not better than Kobe. He's not better than Jordan. He's not better than Magic. He's not better than Kareem. If you want to start a conversation after that, maybe we can, but he's probably not better than Bird. And he's probably not better than Bill Russell, Hakeem. These guys won more times, more often, at a higher percentage with less help. They just did. Kobe had to beat higher competition in the playoffs year in, year out. He had to beat 50-win team first round, 50-win team second round, 50-win team third round, and then go to the East and then get a dub after he was done marching through the real competition, which was in the West. It was in the West for years. You know, if you want to consider the real finals, the NBA, during the 2000s, it was the Western Conference Championships. All those teams were better than the East. They just were. You get the Spurs and you get the Lakers. They got 5 each for Kobe and Tim Duncan. And then you got Dirk got one in there. Steve Nash was fighting for one. It was like people get sick of this conversation, but the truth is the real fans of the NBA are sick of the comparison. Jordan doesn't belong in the same breath. You know, we're done with the 90s? No, we're done with LeBron. We're done with the LeBron age. We're ready to move on. We're ready for a ambassador of the game that plays defense, plays, doesn't flop, plays hard, doesn't take big nights off, doesn't leave his fans resenting that they bought tickets that they couldn't afford to watch him play, and he doesn't show up. The NBA is ready for an ambassador who doesn't cry, who doesn't scream about all the non-calls he gets. The NBA is ready for an ambassador who doesn't bounce, team hop, chooses players, choose which all-stars he wants to play with. I want to play with Wade. I want to play with Bosh. I want to leave them because I see my best friend Wade's knees are a little shaky. I'm going to go to Cleveland with some fresh legs. Kyrie and Kevin Love. You know, we're sick of the narrative. We're sick of the non-true competitiveness in the NBA. Play some defense. LeBron, when Kobe took over the NBA from Jordan, it was at the best spot it's ever been. The scoring was at a reasonable high 90s. People played D. There was enough contact that it was fun to watch, but not too much that we felt like the best players couldn't showcase their skills. Since LeBron's taken over, the NBA's got soft. They had to implement rules just to make these guys play enough games that they could be actually rightfully thought about for the MVP awards and the player rankings and the NBA first team, second teams, all stars. They had to implement rules because LeBron has made this league so weak. LeBron, this was your league for the last 20 years, and look where it is. NBA fans are sitting here saying, we're done with LeBron, not we're done with the 90s. Can we get Jordan and Kobe back? Can we please get some competitiveness back in the NBA? Please?